He's the voiceover studio engineer of the Stars in Los Angeles, California, a Virginia Tech grad with a knowledge of recording studios unmatched in his field. He's a voice actor from Buffalo, New York, with 30 years experience in recording studios and behind the mic. He solves people's home voiceover studio problems in the blink of an eye. Together, there's no studio problem they can't solve, and they'll do it for you tonight. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Now, live from a basement in Buffalo and an office in L.A., here are Dan Leonard and George Whittam.
Good evening. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are
East West
Audio Body Shop. How was the sync on that?
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. All right, well, we're trying something a little different tonight. Might look that's why I'm at a slightly different angle tonight. We're instead of Skype, we're going with Google Hangouts, which apparently has lots of advantages to it. As long as it sounds okay and we look okay, but then again, it's hard to not look okay.
No hair to fix.
We'll be fine.
All right. Yeah, so far it's pretty good. It's pretty good. The way Skype has been a major wild card lately, I'm feeling actually a little more confident about Google Hangouts right now.
That's what we want to know. Well, we got a great show for you tonight. You know, I say that every week, but, you know, then again, I get to watch the show afterwards and I go, gee, that really was a good show. But anyway.
Warts and all.
I especially the warts. We've got a great guest tonight. This is a wonderful lady, gorgeous woman who is an excellent journalist, great career, Rolonda Watts. She has her own talk show. She's just wrote a book. And it's even a novel. It's not even about voiceover or anything like that. No. And she'll tell us about her wonderful career, and she probably speaks better than both of us combined. So
she's got quite a pedigree there with her. She is
well-educated and a great journalist and a talk show host, and that's something I have in common with her. Used to be a talk show host.
She'll be coming in on from Hawaii.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
See, study hard, work hard, you get there.
Yeah, she's on, I guess, a vacation or something, but she'll tell us more, I'm sure.
All right, great. Maybe I wish we'd get some picture. We can see the palm trees.
I know. She's going to be on the phone.
Eclipse now out there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we got lots of stuff to talk about tonight. We've got Rolonda Watts. We've got stuff that you want to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit more about ambient noise. We're going to try and get that video together to see if we can see the whole thing, because I worked hard on that. I want to make sure you guys see it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a pick of the week. I don't know if we have video of the week. We got pick of the week, and we have a problem that somebody asked us about this week on our website, and we came up with a great solution for it.
That's right. And
this is going to be mind blowing.
Yeah, we've had no problems getting pictures and no problems getting sound clips. The problem we seem to be having are people sending both. So if you want to be, if your sound and clip want to be, you want your clip and pick featured on the show, please send us both, and we'll do it. I promise.
That's well, all right. Well, it was hotter than all get out here. It's probably warmer here than it was in California, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
How warm was it where you were?
Yeah, 70s.
Oh, it was 80, almost 90 here today.
Yeah, it was beautiful here.
Lucky
it was gorgeous.
Well, it was 90 here, and it was so hot I didn't feel like doing anything. Nothing. It was like, I think I'll play with my mics, or I'll go play with the kids. I'll go check on the garden. I got to water the front, and writing, prepping for it. No, I'm not going to do any of that. So, didn't do any of that, and had a much more relaxing day. Our weekends are nuts. I mean, prepping for the show is hard enough work as it is.
Yeah.
Throw a voiceover career and an engineering career in there, and it's just nutty.
And a family and everything else. Oh man. No doubt.
Oh man. But anyway, let's get into the meat of the matter, because there's a real interesting subject that I know you wanted to talk about, and something I always talk about, and that has to do with the idea of everybody thinks that music recording is the end-all, be-all, and we must listen to everything recordists in the music business have to say. What do you have to say?
Right. Well, I mean, I have a background in music recording. I have a music degree and studied recording. And I really, which was a huge advantage, I think, from an engineering standpoint, is it got really got me to perk up my hearing, really start listening to detail, pitch, tone, problems in audio, troubleshooting, acoustics, all that kind of stuff. I was listening to it early on before I even really knew what a lot of it really was. So it's really helpful. And the thing is, there's a lot of engineers out there that really know their stuff. And they really know their studio. They really know every little nuance there is about that recording studio that they work in, day in, day out, sometimes 18, 20 hours a day. They know that the guitar sounds great if you put the amp in this little spot over here, and if you put the mic a foot away, and then two mics in the room 16 feet away, and they know every little nuance there is about that room. They also have spent a tremendous amount of time and money building and designing their studio. And there's oftentimes a lot of live hard surfaces in the studio, like a wood floor. And the nicest ones have not only just wood floors, but wood paneling, wood ceilings, everything. So you can imagine that they have a pretty live sound to them. The thing is they want to be able to reproduce or actually produce an acoustical, space that reflects the sound that they are trying to achieve. And they have control over the entire process. They have control over the production from, microphone, and sometimes they get to do the mix as well. And they're often working with a producer. So, they have a lot more control over the creative process, I guess I could say. So for that matter, they know the sound they're trying to get and what they need to do to achieve it. And they can do a lot of things at the microphone. By mic placement, by placing them at different distances, using more than one microphone, changing the acoustics of the room, making it more live, making it more dead, covering up some of that wood with fabric, having movable gobos, all sorts of stuff. And that's because they have control.
Explain what a gobo is. Okay.
A gobo is just any movable surface, like on wheels usually, that can be moved around. It's like a baffle. Right. It can be moved around. Sometimes they're clear plexiglass. I think those are the ones most people think. That's what I think of most of the time when I think of gobos. You ever seen a live performance where the drummer has a plexiglass wall?
Oh, yes, of course.
Exactly, kind of like that. And that's to keep the drums from bleeding into the vocal mics. So there's so much going on in a live in a music studio where there's a lot of instruments and things going on. Voiceover, on the other hand, your job is to capture one voice with one microphone, dry and direct as possible. If there was a way to hook the microphone directly to your vocal cord and still have it sound natural, or not sound in any way muddy or unaffected, that's really, at the end of the day, what your clients basically want. Then someone on the other end wants control over what happens to that sound from that point forward in post or in the post-production flow. They want to add in the room effects, the ambience, they want to have the creative control. They just want to get that dry, direct recording off your voice as possible. So when you hear engineers and you hear people, you're in forums and you're talking about studio design, and you hear a lot about you don't want to have the room to be too dead. You want to have some hard reflective surfaces in there to give it some liveness. What they're saying is coming from a context of a recording engineer doing music production. And they often have a pretty large room. Most commercial studios are going to have at least a 10 by 12, 10 by 15, and most of the times 20 by 30 or larger room. And with a large space, the sound has room to breathe. It has time, room to travel around and diffuse and dissipate. And they have all sorts of expensive diffusion paneling and all sorts of stuff to control the sound. But in a home studio in a small space, there is nothing that's particularly useful about any reflected audio, especially in a booth or a closet. The smaller the space, the more the reflected audio starts to resonate and get right into the vocal range, and that resonant sound starts coloring and makes you sound like you're in a box. So in most cases, it's almost impossible to create a room, like say a closet, take a closet and make it sound too dead. Now you've probably heard of an anechoic chamber, Dan. We've talked about anechoic chambers before. You know, an anechoic chamber, what they do inside them to make them dead enough to be called anechoic is there's like about 3 or 4 feet thick of acoustical treatment on the walls. They're basically like these gigantic wedges. They look like spikes sticking out from the wall. And that's what they have to do to absorb the entire frequency spectrum, audible frequency spectrum, from like 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So imagine if you had a closet 4 by 4 feet, would it be possible to make it too dead by making it sound like an anechoic chamber? In all intents and purposes, probably not. If you're going to have enough room in there to move and have enough space to breathe and have it be comfortable in there, you can make it sound pretty darn dead, but it's never going to be completely dead. And it's so rare that somebody errs on the side of being too dead. Have you ever heard a studio, Dan, that you listen to and go, that just sounds too dead to me? Has it? I can't say it has.
My own studio sounds pretty dead most of the time. But well, you know, my idea on this is that if you keep it very dead, you at least have the ability to create whatever ambiance you want in post. You can create, make it sound like a concert hall. You can make it sound like your closet. Just by making some adjustments in the in some reverb patterns and stuff, but there should be a certain amount of liveliness. I know in the new construction I'm going to do here, it's going to be a little livelier than it is now. Mm-hmm. Maybe a couple of maybe an extra hard surface here or there just to give it a little bit of zing, but not but not like nothing. It's like I'm in the dead zone.
Well, that's the technical term for that is a very short RT60 time, right?
Right.
Yeah. RT60 is, as I remember, the RT60 reverb time. So if you make an impulse, how long it takes for that impulse to completely... No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say this wrong, and I'm going to have to, look it up later and say, here's the real answer. I think it's how long it takes for a sound to dissipate or drop in volume, the reverb time, to the time it takes for reverb to drop in volume by about 60 dB. Does that sound right?
Yeah. You ever look at the formula for that?
Yeah, never mind.
It's just nuts.
Yeah, never mind.
Let's...
But actually, if you are going to treat a studio and you go to say something like ATS Acoustics website, they actually have a chart on there, and you can say, well, I'm going to make a vocal booth, and this is the size of the room. How many panels do I need to make it sound like a vocal booth? And in their estimation, a vocal booth should have an RT60 time of between 0.2 and 0.1. That in 0.2 and 0.1 seconds. So that's kind of what they're talking about. Somebody said in the chat room, if you go into a studio, into a commercial studio, don't they end up throwing you in a booth anyway? Well, yeah, it depends. If some studios have an ISO booth just for vocals, others don't. And a lot of studios have been in Hollywood where there's a large room that they're working in. They just set up a couple of carefully placed baffles behind the talent just to control the room ambience. But there's still some space for the sound to travel, to go up, out, and move around the room. And, you've got an engineer that knows exactly where the mic needs to be placed and exactly how much, reverberation is allowable for the kind of read you're doing. There's so much going on in that case. When you're home by yourself and you can't concentrate on RT60 times and listen to all that stuff, just deaden down the room pretty much as you possibly can if you're just getting started. I mean, that's a good place to start. You can always remove stuff, but it's incredibly rare, especially in a whisper room or a closet, where I say to somebody, you need to liven it up a little bit, So that's my 2 cents.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I have my opinions about this too, because with all the work that we do with people and helping them set up their studios, one of the things that we hear a lot is, I got my audio guy coming over. And now that's usually somebody who is a guy who installs, speaker systems for Muzak or some guy that was worked for some telephone company. He's their audio guy. He records bands. Therefore, he must know everything there is to know about voiceover. He understands this stuff. They are so ignorant to the unique environment. Now, if there are any engineers out there listening, don't take this personally. If you haven't had a lot of experience with home studios, totally unique environment. It's not the same thing as setting up a 4-piece band and micing the cabs and using your direct boxes and isolating one person away from here, and it's none of that at all. It's capturing somebody's voice as it exists. Mm-hmm. And they don't get that. It's like, well, you gotta give it all this compression, and it's got to be loud, and it's like, it's gotta sound like you. It's a totally different philosophy.
Yeah. And the thing is that, going back to the anechoic. Yeah, the anechoic thing is most of us have probably never been in one. If you have in the chat room, raise your hand. But if you've ever been in one, it's incredibly, horribly unnatural. There was a post on Facebook a little while ago. I don't know if it ended up on our group or what, but about what it's like to be in an anechoic chamber, and they're saying that it's like a torture test. They will actually put people in there, and it's like the ultimate in sensory deprivation. They'll put you in there. You'll sit down on a chair in the middle of the room. They'll close the door, shut off the lights, and see how long you can stand sitting in the room. And most people don't make it past about 30 or 40 minutes. They said you actually start hallucinating.
I've done that before, and just by getting up too early some days.
Right. Well, go ahead.
Well, the thing is that when you have a home studio, consult with people who know home voiceover studios. And I think that's the most important thing. Not that guys that are musicians and record bands don't know what they're doing. They probably know more than we do about recording bands, but we know more about home voiceover studios. They're very different environments, so don't be fooled by that.
Yeah.
And they mean well. This is how I record. Well, that's not exactly the same thing. And they may have very little experience with voiceover, and they're learning on your time. So
it's true.
Most important thing.
Yeah. I was trying to find a cool video feed of the solar eclipse, not to change the subject, but I'm watching it get dark. The sun is on the other side of me, so I can't see it. But I'm watching it get darker and darker by the minute. It's pretty trippy. Actually, does this say it's live? This is a live video feed here. Yeah, sorry, I know this is way off topic, but you got.
That's okay. It's something unique.
No, actually, here it is.
Anyway, but it's got nothing to do with the sun except that it's on the other side of the planet.
Here it is. I'm dragging it over your face. Hang on a second.
Okay, let's see here.
Okay, so this is a camera.
Oh.
Let's see.
Look at that.
This is apparently what it looks like in what area? I don't know, but this is a Ustream feed. It has 44,890 views, and it's rising rapidly.
Wow.
Here you go, guys. You can simulcast if you got enough bandwidth. You can watch this too.
Cool.
Send them the link. Anyway.
Yeah. Now Tony Gettig mentions in the chat room here that the guys at your local at Banjo Emporium.
Yes.
Don't know what they're talking about. Never walk into Banjo Emporium. I'm not saying don't go in there, but never walk in there not knowing what you want.
Oh, yeah.
Never walk in there and say, I'm starting a home voiceover studio, or I'm a voice actor. What do I need? They're going to look at you and go,
Target.
You need a U87. You need you need this multi-channel mixer over here. Oh, here's a Grass Valley switcher. You're gonna,
Here's what they do. They look at their spiff sheet,
exactly.
And they say, which products do we have right now that are going to give us the best spiffs? And spiffs are basically, if you sell something that was on the spiff sheet, if you sell, say, 10 of those in a month, you'll get one of them.
Right.
So if those sales guys really want a Neumann TLM 103 that month, they start selling them like crazy.
Yep.
Been there, done that. I never sold anything for a big box store like that, but I did work for a small boutique shop, and didn't matter. We still had spiffs, and he would encourage us. He's like, "Look, guys, you guys could get one of these preamps if you sell enough of them." You couldn't. It couldn't help but influence your sales as to what you were selling that week. So
yeah. So whenever I walk in there, now I know the guy. I know the guys there by name, and they know me by name. I mean, Face walks in, they're going to remember who it is.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people in Buffalo. I mean, there's a few, but there's only one banjo emporium. But I walk in there, and they're like, "Oh, here he comes, the guy, the voiceover guy."
The guy thinks he knows everything.
Yeah, he knows everything. And then I get into this. I get into this ego mood of, well, you know. And it's.
Hey, I've been there, not so much in GCs, but in other stores where it's like you end up teaching the salesperson more than what they knew before you walked in the door.
Yes.
So I've been there, and it's not even like, for me, maybe it is ego. I don't know, but for me, it's just I'm so genuinely interested in what the product is, and I just can't help but want to talk about it. And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you could." Oh, you like the Apple Genius Desk? That's my favorite. I go to those things and I say, "Yeah, I use this thing," and they're like, "Really? What's that?" I end up spending most of the time telling them stuff. It's really funny.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we're going to talk a little bit more about some interesting tools that we discovered this week on our question, but we'll get into that a bit later after Rolonda's with us. But we've also got more stuff to talk about ambient noise, and we'll jump to that in just a minute or so. So why don't you stay where you are? Don't look directly at the sun.
No, please don't.
And we'll be right back here at East West Audio Body Shop.
El Dorado Recording Services.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
This is Alex Verdi.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish
I've got my travel kit, I got my Source Connect, I've got it all going on, thanks to you.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now, back to Dan and George.
And we're back here. And it looks like it actually, well, let's see. I still see some leaves rustling behind you, so the sun still must be out a little bit there.
There's a ring. It's actually making that bright ring. We're not getting the ring of fire. Here, let me drag this over for a second. If I was outside looking and I had I wanted to take my wife's camera and put a stack of ND filters on there. Right, those really dark, filters. Oh, it's so cool. There it goes. It's doing it right now. The moon is passing in front, and we're getting a perfect ring. There it is. Almost.
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
Apparently,
down.
Apparently, the guys in Northern California. Yeah, apparently the Northern California folk are getting a true ring of fire, where the moon is just a tad smaller, and you just see this burning, glowing circle. Wow, that's awesome, though. I love Ustream, man. I mean, we use it for our show, but it's like all I did was type into Ustream solar eclipse live, and I found it in about 5 seconds.
It's like anything.
50,000 viewers. Maybe we should say we're broadcasting the solar eclipse and add some viewers.
There you go.
Okay, never mind. All right.
Okay, so anyway, all right. So we tried to show this video a couple of weeks ago, and it just stopped dead in the middle.
Okay.
And some very interesting points in here that I wanted to make sure you get across. I'm sure a lot of you probably, if you watched the replay, you saw it, but we want to show it again because over the next couple of weeks, I want to have the sequence talking about ambient noise and where it comes from and how to get rid of it.
Well, here it is.
Here we go. Let's take a look at it.
Did you ever stop and listen to your house? It's important to think about because, remember, any noise that's in your house, if you're not in an isolated booth, it's going to be on your recordings. I get recordings from people all the time and they say, it's quiet. But there's a lot of noise that you have to think about because your brain doesn't. It shuts it out. For example, listen. This is just in my kitchen, and it all goes downstairs into my studio. Probably the worst offender is this guy, the refrigerator. It all reverberates right through your house. And maybe some things you don't even think about, like an aquarium. Listen to that buzzing. But like I said before, your brain tunes all this stuff out. It's what we call monotonous tones, things that you hear constantly, so your brain just tunes it out. But it's still on your recordings, and you've got to learn to listen for it.
Okay, here's a spectrogram of the ambient noise in my studio on a loud day. It's that bright orange line at the bottom, but this is what you have to look for to find it.
So the next question is, how do you get rid of it? Well, you got two options. You could build a soundproof isolating booth for thousands of dollars, or you can learn to minimize some of these things.
Well, this is simple enough. Don't do the laundry. Turn the furnace or air conditioning off. However, depending on the season, try to remember to turn it back on. And what about our noisy friend, Mr. Refrigerator? It takes a special type of anti-vibration foam. And what you've got to do is you've got to find a way to get it underneath the wheels and float the refrigerator on top of it. You can get some of that foam in a number of different websites. It's not easy to do, but give it a shot if your refrigerator is really causing that kind of problem. Yeah, our homes are a pretty noisy place. But if you think about it, listen to the sounds in your home, try to eliminate them from their source, then you can truly have a nice quiet space to record. And that's my tip of the week. I feel so much better now. I'm able to get that one off, and so you can see that. You know, I mean, it's not easy to produce these things. I do it all with, I do it all with a MacBook. I mean, it's easy to do, but
it's a lot easier than it would have been without a MacBook, though. That's for sure. That's true. Can you imagine shooting them?
Which program I'm going to use to record all of these?
Right.
But anyway, and to edit them. But next week we're going to talk a little bit more about ambient noise, but not the physical ambient noise, but electronic. Ambient noise.
Mm-hmm,
and where that comes from and how to measure it. Now, somebody asks here, our good friend Booth Champion, is there a spectrogram plug-in that I can use with Twisted Wave? No.
Do you think there isn't? I mean,
I think actually that there is a plug-in for a spectrogram, but it's simply, I think it's just a display.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it comes with one, but if you can get an audio units spectrogram, I'm Googling it.
Okay, I looked last week, and I think there's a couple, but there's nothing that's as powerful as what they have in Audition. It's just an amazing little tool. There actually is one in Audacity, but good luck using that one.
I mean, in a pinch, you could always load it into Audacity just to look at something, but boy, that would slow you down, wouldn't it?
It really would. The resolution on it isn't nearly as good. But what did you find?
Resolution is a key thing.
Oh yeah, and that's what makes the thing in Audition so good. I mean, I look at Adobe Audition as Photoshop for audio.
Totally.
Really, it just takes out all the blemishes and really creates really nice, clean audio, which is why we recommend it. We also like Twisted Wave because Twisted Wave is so incredibly simple, and you can scroll with it, unlike with Audacity, and you can edit visually and with your ears at the same time, which is a lot more powerful than I think that's where the sound is. Just look here.
Here's a link.
That sort of thing.
Here's a link that might have something to check out. I haven't even clicked on it. I mean, I haven't clicked on anything in here, but Here are some options, maybe.
Okay.
For spectrograms, they say that some of their VST and some are AU or audio units, and I know for sure Twisted Wave will work with anything that's audio units. So you might be able to find something.
We'll have to mess around with that this week and see if we can make that work.
Yeah, I mean, Adobe Audition is the spectrogram editing is quite remarkable. The only other tool I knew of before Adobe Audition added it in was made by Isotope, and they had a spectrogram style editor. And then I don't know if Adobe Audition licensed it or just plain old stole it, because when they came out with it, it was such a similar tool, and it worked so well, like the Isotope plugin, that I was like, yeah, you don't need that plugin anymore. And their software was about as much as Adobe Audition cost, the whole thing. So pretty much wiped that out.
Right. And then when Audition merged with Soundbooth last year, you could get your waveform and the spectrogram right below it, which was, to me is like the ultimate of being able to do that, because you can refer back and forth between your waveform and your spectrograms for time reference and stuff like that. So it's a very, very powerful tool. But back to physical ambient noise. I mean, it comes from all over the place, and you've got to eliminate it from its source. You've got to make sure that if your refrigerator is vibrating, deal with it. If you've got something that's vibrating outside your house, we've talked about this before, you got to deal with it. If you got a highway, that's, right next to you, you got to deal with it. And the more noise you have on the outside, the more you're going to have to try and isolate yourself, and the harder it becomes, unless you have a really nice interior airtight closet that they will find you, asphyxiated in, after 12 hours or so.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to talk about ventilation one of these days too, because I think that's I hear from a lot of people say, I'm in my closet, but it gets way too hot in there, and I'm like, yeah, because you're closing yourself in a closet. So
that's what it is.
It's if you're doing short form stuff, it's not a problem. You're doing a book, then it becomes a problem.
Right. And that's the irony of book narration, right? It's like it's one of the least per hour paying types of jobs, but it requires the quietest studio.
It does. Well, that's why I'm thinking, I want to build a nice, bigger, comfortable spot that I can work in that also has really nice ventilation. But we're designing that. It's going to be magnificent if I ever get around to it. We got so much going on over the next couple of weeks, and trying to plan that on top of doing a book and going out to California. And
not much is happening until Voices passed.
Yes, that's true.
That's for sure.
Well, we've got our guest is going to be joining us now, and apparently she's having a much better time than we are. So let's get a hold of our guest, Rolonda Watts, and we'll be right back here on East West Audio Body Shop. So don't you go anywhere.
This is This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now back to Dan and George.
All righty, we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop, and I guess it's probably starting to get light out your way, George.
It's still pretty darn dark. We're still in the midst of this eclipse. It's supposed to last for another 45, maybe 30 minutes. So,
wow,
yeah, it's pretty creepy.
It's already dark here, so it's like, yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, let's bring in our guest for this evening. A lovely lady, and in fact, her name, face, and now even her distinctive voice are known by audiences everywhere. thanks to her work in radio and television, the internet, and film. Most of you just know her as Rolonda from her internationally syndicated talk show, The Rolonda Show. And she currently hosts an internet talk show called A Brave Heart TV. How do you pronounce that, Rolonda?
George, and you know me as just plain old Ro.
Braveheart View.
Braveheart View. That's
Braveheart View.
Internet. Yeah, that's my television, internet show, and then I also have a radio show called Sundays with Rolonda.com that you can go to.
Sundays with Rolonda.
Hey, Dan, how you guys doing today?
We're doing wonderfully.
We're doing great. We're having fun watching the eclipse.
Yeah, you're out in Hawaii, right?
Exactly. That's why I'm so thrilled to be listening to you guys, because we're the last to get the eclipse, and I'm listening to what we can expect. What do you say? It's going to just turn dark and creepy?
Dark and creepy. I can't see the sun because from my seat, I can't see it. But I've been watching it live on Ustream. So I'm watching it, somebody else shooting a video of it, and it's awesome. It's really cool. So I don't know what you're going to see in Hawaii. It may be not as brilliant, or it may be more spectacular. So we'll have to see. Are you going to be outside during it?
Yeah, I'm on my way right now to a polo match, and I'm sure that part of our celebration, especially in Hawaii, where Mother Nature is celebrated every single step of the way, we're going to be celebrating that as well. And then plus me being a moon child, and then plus, remember a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, when the big full moon that was 33% lighter and 14% bigger than any other moon that comes every year? Where it brought everybody together, even in social media and all through the internet. It brought us all together under one moon worldwide. So I think these things are really significant and fantastic for humanity.
Totally. I agree. I mean, it's really neat to see everybody on the internet just, going, everybody got to check this out. Everybody's taking pictures. Everybody's out there doing their thing. Everybody's enjoying it, getting in on it. 20, 30 years ago, it wouldn't have been such popular culture to care about anything in science,
Exactly.
But nowadays...
Well, I always say, I said nerd and being geeks, the people who used to look through telescopes and work on computers that we did, they were the freaks in the society. Now, geeks and nerds are the new black. I mean, they're the hot ones. They're the ones we turn to when we want to see things like the moon eclipse that we all shared on the internet and that kind of thing. It's amazing, and I'm looking forward to you guys passing the moon this way. Could you please?
You got
it. I'll just give it a big kick to the left there, and to Hawaii.
But it's like one of those big balls at a concert.
Right.
Pass it on, pass it over, pass it over.
Exactly. Oh man.
Well, Rolonda, you've had an amazing career, and I'll bet you're thinking you're just getting going right now.
You better believe it. That's right.
I figured as much. Go ahead.
Well, because the technology, as you guys well know, because George, part of the reason. Well, listen, my day job is the announcer and the promo voice, television and radio for the Judge Joe Brown Show.
Right.
And I also have 50 million other passions. And the beautiful thing is that thanks to George, meeting George so many years ago, he helped me be able to understand that you can take power over your own passions, your own dreams in your own life, and your own business. And technology has caught up with that. There's no excuse today for you not to be successful. I don't care how old you are. And George, you've been so significant for me in terms of helping me recognize my freedom in my VO2Go kit.
Oh, that's great.
I can do voiceovers and auditions from anywhere in the world. And the technology has allowed us to share everything from moons to businesses and brilliant ideas. So, yeah, and for us to have a talk show, look at us. We've got talk shows, guys. It used to be a day where you had to beg 3 networks, because that was all there was on TV, because I lived through those eras, when you had to beg people to just please let me have something to say on TV. And now you can do your own thing. And that's the beauty of people like you who are so ahead of the curve and teaching people like me to be ahead of it too. And you're helping me make my dreams come true by giving me the technology and the tools to do that. So, yeah, we live in a wonderful world right now.
I have to agree. I mean, what types of work are you finding you have to do the most often when you're traveling? And what are those jobs that you do that are like, I need you now, Ro, and I need you, it needs to sound good, and I need you now. What are the jobs you do most often from the road?
Well, when I get a call to sound good and sound good now, it's usually from my agent who has a big job offering for me.
Right.
And what the beauty is that if I have to leave town for 2 weeks, whether I'm in Dubai or Cannes, because right now it's a film festival, I'm a film producer also, so I have to be places. I just had a speaking engagement. That's why I'm here in Hawaii. I still got to do other work. But I still got to audition, because when you're an actor and you're a voiceover artist, the audition is the work. Because once you get the job, you do the job for a couple of weeks or a week, and then you're right back to auditioning. We audition more than we ever work. So that's really the work. That's the job. And so to be in the game and to stay in the game, despite my passions and my other jobs, you absolutely must be able to be available and to be good and to make it sound warm and sweet and have that mic together. And the technology keeps changing to support that. You have, I always say jobs are gone. Multiple careers are here to stay. And where do multiple careers come from? They come from your passion and the tools that you find to make them work and the people that you have to support you. And that's why George, listen, you're my best friend for life. You're my BFF, because you've helped me find, no, seriously. And you know that, because every time I talk to you, I'm always like, I love you, George. You're my rock star. Because I have so much freedom. Look, man, you know this. I've done my job, whether it's auditioning for something or doing an audition or sending in a voiceover track for Boeing, which I'm the voice of also, or doing my weekly gig with Judge Joe. It's because I can do it from Dubai. I've done it from Cannes. I've done it from Turks and Caicos. I've done it from North Carolina, from New York City, from, everywhere, because, listen, we got to keep the ball going. We've all got to pay our mortgages and get those kids through college. So we can't let any parameter stop us. And the tools are out there for you to use and keep it going.
It sounds like that Phil Collins video of "Take Me Home." You're like everywhere. It's
I'm all over the place.
Busy lady. Well, you've done so many different things. I mean, I think that's one of the most amazing things about you, Rolonda, is you've done so many different things across so many genres. Being a talk show host and being a journalist, and you've done some animation work too. And then it sounds like you've done some really fun stuff. What animation stuff have you done?
Oh, God, I love animation. You know what? When I was a little kid, I used to talk a lot, and my dad used to get really fed up with it sometimes.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Questions that, I know. If you have little kids, you understand this. And my dad would give me a tape recorder and say, would you go in your room and close the door and just talk on the tape recorder? Just do that, please. Now, let me go get some work done. So I'd go in my room, and I'd close the door, and I would talk into that tape recorder all day long. And I would make up stories, and then I would be all the voices for the stories, and then I would make sounds like running the sink water to make special effects. And I was having a ball. And I look at what I do today. Who knew? Exactly. Who knew today I work with a mic, I do recordings, I make up voices, I use sound effects, and I'm still telling stories. So, in a strange kind of way, your biggest flaws can turn out to be your greatest gift. But I think that one of the things that I've done is just stumbled upon wonderful things that made me happy. I think happy is the man who makes his hobby his work. That's what Shakespeare always said. I believe that refers to little girls and women too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also what you're good at, what you really love is what you're going to be good at. So I try to stick to those things. Trust me, I've flunked classes in school. I've had to take tutorials and repeats, and I've made tons of mistakes. But the bottom line is I live a full life, and I really have lots of new things to explore. God gives you many gifts, and I believe your gift back to God is to really use them in good places. And I hope that at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, my tombstone's going to say, all used up. Because I'm going to examine every single thing I've been given, and I'm going to work it And hopefully, if I can make some money at it, then I'm going to get the abundance thing going there too.
When did obviously with your varied background, your background in broadcast and journalism, when did just sort of the pure, quote unquote, pure voiceover thing come to be for you? When did you do your first voice acting job?
Well, let me tell you this, George. I thought, for many years I was an investigative reporter and anchorwoman in New York City. From the time I was 21 years old, you knew my voice in New York City, New Jersey, Philadelphia, the top markets. And by the time I had completed my news career, not only in New York City, in the news and local news, but also with international news with Inside Edition and then the Rolonda Show, I could pick up the phone and call 411, which I still do today to get information. Well, things have changed now. Just go to my Google on my phone. But back in the day, when you called 411, the operator would say, "Is this Rolonda?" And, as crazy as my black voice is and my crazy all the personality, people know there's only one Rolonda, and it has become my brand. So I just knew when I came to California, I would have a voiceover career that would go through the roof. And so I went out doing all these voiceovers and using my fabulous, deep, raspy voice as it has become, and I could not get hired. And I went to my agent with my tail between my legs and very much in a funk. And I said, I don't want to go on an audition again. Being a little bratty kid, I'm not going to go out on an audition again because I'm not going to get hired anyway. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and we both started laughing. I said, I am so embarrassed to say that. That is so not even who I am. But I got to be honest with you, I'm very frustrated, and I'm giving up. And I don't like that feeling. I'm not that girl. And so she said, it is time to get thee to a workshop. And I know somebody's listening who has hit that wall. And you have a great voice. You know how to interpret copy. You are the next Donna or Don LaFontaine. But you've got to get in that workshop because it is not about having a recognizable voice. It's not about having a great, deep, raspy, eccentric voice or being known by your voice all over the world. It's about acting. And it's about interpretation. Here's a great example I always use, George and Dan. I say, you know what? McDonald's has never sold a hamburger in the entirety of Ray Kroc's dream. McDonald's sells happiness. So when I'm in there reading McDonald's copy, I'm not trying to be the greatest McDonald's voice in the world. I'm trying to sell happiness. Can you hear the smile in my voice? That's so good. So you're selling whatever. When I sell insurance, I'm not selling my voice and how great and raspy and unique it is and worldwide known and 411 knows me. When I sell insurance, I am selling assurance in my voice and authority that everything is going to be okay. The people of Boeing are working together to keep us together. That's authority and warmth and comfort because Boeing is the company that brings our soldiers home. So that's the acting and breaking down the script that is really needed. And when you go into a workshop and you do the work, because so many times we think that we can get a quick fix. We blame it on the kids, but you be a good DJ and you think you have a great voice and you want your voiceover career to kick off immediately. The real deal is, and you guys know this, you've got to put the work in and you've got to understand the industry. You even have to understand how to approach your equipment. The equipment is so amazing today, but what is a sweet spot? Yeah. What is a can? If you don't know the vocabulary in an industry, then you're behind the eight ball again. What is the difference between a casting agent and a casting director? What is the difference between a voiceover or an announcer or a promo or an animation or a book reading or what is the difference? And really understanding that if you're going to be a character in reading, who are you? Are you the doctor, the lawyer? Are you are you the one who's going to be the Simpson voice? When I do Curious George, I'm Professor Wiseman. Yeah. You know this. Who are the most expensive meows and cat voices and animal voices in the industry? You've got people who are killing it and making millions of dollars being great monkeys, cats, cows and mules.
I have to tell you, Rolonda, my son's bird loves Curious George. He goes off to school, and we put on Curious George on PBS in the morning, and I hear that voice, and I just love that doctor's voice. I mean, it's it's a wonderful job you do with that.
I know. That's a wonderful series. And Frank Welker and Jeff, I mean, all of these guys, they do everything. They're the voice of the penguins of Madagascar. By the way, I'm Grandma Gladys on one of those. But these guys are consistent. Yeah, they do, I'm with them on Penguins of Madagascar, and then we go and we do Curious George. And then, the guy who plays Curious George, Frank, is also the guy who plays Scooby-Doo and Transformer.
Oh, okay.
And so it's really exciting to work with people in all genres. I'm really blessed because I had no idea that most people in voiceovers only do one genre. I didn't know. God says ignorance is bliss. Believe me, because I'm a promo person. I'm an announcer. I do animation. And anything else you want me to do.
Versatility is, I know the agents always say versatility is really important. I mean, the more versatile you are, the more desirable you're going to be to the agent because you can be doing so many different types of work.
Absolutely. But that is something that is such an important thing in life. Versatility is survival. You have to be versatile. And if you can be versatile in many different careers, like you can be an actor that does many different things, and you can be a voiceover artist that does many different things. So it looks like you're only doing two different things, voiceover and acting, but you're in voiceovers, you're a promo person, an announcer person, you're also doing animation, and in acting, you're doing comedy and drama and commercials and, all. So you really have to diversify and as we call it in the internet world, to repurpose things. You can repurpose your talent just as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Do you have time in your schedule to start doing workshops? Because I think some people in the chat room are saying, man, Rose should do a workshop.
Well, you know what? I would love to do some workshops, and I think that's really good. George, we should sit and talk about that. Dan, we should powwow and talk about that. I would love to do it. You know why? Because the voiceover business, and I've been in the entertainment business for 3 decades. And this voiceover business, I've only discovered in the past. I think I've been on Judge Joe and Curious George for 8 years now. That's when my career really kicked off. And I've been in the entertainment industry, film, television, all of that for 30 years, more than 30 years. But in the past 8 years is the voice that you know me of now. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. The kid who played with the microphone, who wanted to make sounds come through tape recorders, is now one of the number one voiceover artists, and it pays for 2 mortgages under the Hollywood sign. You can do this. Yeah, you can do this. It's my main job. I do 50 million other things, and the freedom that I have is because of my voiceover work. The last thing and can I just say this as I stand here, and I am so proud to say this. Do you know that I am up for an Emmy right now for my voiceover work with Judge Joe Brown? Our show is up for an Emmy. Yes, announced last week. And I got to tell you, I was sitting around crying the blues thinking that because my face wasn't seen on TV anymore, that my Emmy days were gone.
You got wait a minute. You got an Emmy nom for your voice work on that show?
Well, the entire show gets the Emmy nod. But I can tell you this. My boss called me and left a message on my answering machine and said, who is the announcer and promo voice for the nominated show? We expect you to have your dress on and be there on June 17th when our category comes up.
Good.
So I feel like I'm right there with them. And you know what? Who knew?
Who
knew that I was known for one thing all my life, and I went for a passion, and look what paid off.
It's just like we've always been talking about Don LaFontaine getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's
That's
like
right.
He's the faceless character that everybody knows, but he was a character voice,
That's right.
Yeah.
He's part of Americana in a world. Everybody knows Don LaFontaine.
Absolutely.
And you know what? When I first came out to California and I was dreaming of being a voiceover artist, I read up on Don LaFontaine. I wanted to be able to say with my deep, raspy voice and my dramatic in a world, because that's what, listen, in America, our greatest resource isn't oil, wheat, and grain. Our greatest resource is movies and movie stars. So I wanted to be able to say with my deep, raspy voice, in a world, and I studied him. This guy had so much work that he would take a limo to studio to studio to studio because he had so much work. I dreamed to do that too. And listen, Don LaFontaine lived, man.
No,
and voiceover has such a huge, tremendous effect on our world. We know those voices. Everything that you hear that you don't see a mouth moving on is voiceover. It's a huge career. And I would encourage anyone to join my workshop that's going to be coming soon.
Stay tuned.
We'll set that up. Yeah, with all the other stuff that you're doing, Rolonda, it appears that you are now an author, and your first book is coming out, Destiny Lingers. Tell us about it. And then everybody wants to know, are you going to do the audiobook version of it? You know what? I would love to do the audiobook version. And to tell you the truth, my novel, Destiny Lingers, it's been, you know what, when you go to the beach this summer and you are taking something to write, I would go to the beach every summer and all my girlfriends would be taking a book to read and I would be taking a book to write. And after 100 pages, my girlfriend says, Rolonda, are you ridiculous? You have a novel here. And so I finished this novel. I've played with it. I'm tired of it. It's like having a baby. It's like, I'm not ready. Get it out. So I am ready to get this novel out of me, and it's coming soon. It's Destiny Lingers. It's a creative nonfiction. It's based upon a little truth and a little fiction of my life, but it's about a woman who's an investigative news reporter in New York City who's covered every story except her own life until she discovers this long strand of red hair stretched across her husband's bed pillow. The only person she knows with red hair is her best friend, discovers a sordid affair, goes back to North Carolina, a little island, to get her life together, and rediscovers her first love. So it's a question of, if you had an opportunity to reconnect with your first love, would you do it? So it's a good, one of those good, juicy novels, and I hope that you're going to be seeing it very soon. And listen, and it's going to be a great movie and a great read that I'll be happy to read to you while you're laying on the beach with your Dre headphones or whatever.
Right. Exactly. You could even do Skype, workshops over the internet with webinars and Skype, and there's so many different ways.
I can show you how.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? Listen, George, you have taken me to the next level in terms of my voiceover career. And a lot of the reason that my career is so successful is because I've had such a great coach as you, and because you've given me the technology and the tools to make my dreams come true. And I tell you that all the time. That's not anything new, but I'll tell it to you in the public. And Dan, now that you're my new friend, I expect you guys to help me take this to the next level. Yeah. And I think workshopping and giving tools to share this great knowledge that we have that allows people tremendous freedom and a tremendous opportunity to make their dreams, their passion, and their life come true. Let's do it. Let's get together. Help me know what to do so that we can bring our specialty to our peeps.
No, we got your back.
We help each other. And I got your back, man. And I got your back. VO to go with Roe, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's go. I don't know, Dan, if you have another question, but there's one we could go out on maybe on. Otis Jury says, which really is better when it comes down to it? Is it really about versatility or finding your niche? In your estimation.
I think that finding my niche has been my versatility. There is nothing greater that God gave me than the courage and the conviction to know who I am authentically. When I was a little kid, they told me I talked too much. Today, I'm an internationally syndicated talk show host on radio, television, and internet. When I was told I was too dramatic. Now I'm a paid actor in 2 unions, ACTRA for television and radio, as well as SAG for Screen Actors Guild. I was told I was too bossy. Today I'm the CEO and president of Watts Productions, my production company. I was told I asked too many questions. Today I'm an Emmy award-winning journalist, and I've had, so it goes on and on and on. Yes, every single success I've had has come from somebody very significant telling me that I couldn't do it and to stay in the box and shut up. I refused to do that. And I
Absolutely.
do what I do. I talk, I tell stories, I have fun. I can manifest that in so many different ways, and a lot of those ways can make me money. So yes, today when our economic shift has happened, we don't have the security blankets we thought we had and that we were promised. We must look into ourselves and find the gifts that we have that always say that we're always going to be all right and that we can always count on ourselves to make things happen. Have faith and believe in ourselves and our gifts. And there's a business there. There are oil wells there. And I'm living proof of it, man. Every single thing, every single flaw that I have, it turns out to be why you know the brand Rolonda by one name worldwide.
That's right. I mean, I look at my 3-year-old daughter, Ella, and I think everything that drives us completely nuts about her right now. And she's getting it already.
That's right.
I'll tell you, it's going to turn into something for her. We even, believe it or not, we actually have already gotten her signed for print and commercial. And we'll see what happens.
Right. And listen, and you tell her Auntie Ro has her back too.
All right, and she knows her she knows her voice. She loves Curious George too, and she loves the series. We watch it a lot. So
that's right. Well, I tell you what, Bart, like I said, your niche is versatility. Versatility, there's nothing wrong. There's so many people who will tell you, well, you must be non-focused. You have too many things, a jack of all trades and a master of every single one of them, my friend.
There you go. There you go.
And your life is supposed to be about abundance and using all of those tremendous gifts that you have within you. If you have a deep voice and you don't know how to act, that's okay. Get in an acting workshop. There's things that you have to do. God believes in matching grants, and you've got to do the work. But if you know, everybody who has a voice knows what that feels like. When that larynx starts trembling and you can feel the vibration of your own words in you, and you love to hear yourself and feel yourself speak, you have something there. But you have to do the work to find it, to make it authentic, and to make it work, and to make it professional, and to make it everlasting. That is your job. The rest, you've already been given.
Amen.
Can't say, I don't know how I could say any differently. Thank you, Ro. We get back to that polo match.
Yeah, really.
Listen, I'm sitting here in the car. They pulled up. I'm sitting in front of the polo match watching you guys. I'm watching people skydiving from the sky. I'm overlooking the Waikiki. Well, not Waikiki. I'm over here on the other side. I'm in the north shore of the island now.
Right.
But it has been, we talk about living our lives with passion. And for me, traveling is passion. Experiencing something new, like watching a polo match, is exciting. To do those things and to still be able to get my work done because of the technology and great coaching like you guys and the coaching I hope to provide because of what you've given to me. You got to pay forward too. We got this. There are things that we can do, y'all, and we have choices to make for our freedom and our success. We can do this. We don't have to count on anybody anymore because the internet has changed the game.
That's totally true. Thank you once again. Thanks for coming on. We'll make sure everybody knows where to find your information.
Okay. Aloha.
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 Take care.
Come join me on Facebook, Rolonda fan page, ROLONDA fanpage.com. Come and like me over there. And also, if you would please go to sundayswithrolonda.com. Today I talked with a wonderful lady who will help you communicate with your children in this. Sometimes technology comes to bite us in the booty, especially when we're trying to ask our kids questions and they answer us with stuff like TY and SMH and all of that. How do you communicate with your kids in this time, in this day and age? We got a great show that we talked about that today. So go to sundayswithrolonda.com and check out today's show. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. I'm still on the go with my VO.
You're such a pro, too. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, G.O. and Danny O.
Bye-bye.
Y'all have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.
Wow,
Rolonda Watts.
She's a dynamo.
She is
dynamo, totally, man. She is awesome. I'm so excited we got her on. She's always moving, and just to nail her down long enough to get her on the show like that is not easy. Yeah, Ann Richardson says she's 1,000 watts. I'm like, you got that right.
Write that one down.
1,000-watt light bulb. No, I was helping her with a technical problem when she first got to visit her. So I think she was visiting her folks or something in North Carolina, and we were having trouble. She's like, I'm not getting enough volume in my headphones from my old beat-up Mboxer. I'm like, yeah, the headphone knob is loose on that thing. It's worn out. And she's, and it's so funny. My name's Watts, and I can't get enough volume. She has a really good sense of humor. She's as sharp as a tack.
A total pro. Boy, and such versatility too. That's a rare commodity. Like she was saying, a lot of people do specialize. Sure. Well, we've got a lot more coming up. It seems like we just started, and boy, a half hour, an hour goes by so fast, and so we got more to talk about. And so stay right where you are. We've got a problem. We've got something. When we first talked about this earlier this week, George, it was like, how do I solve this one? And then we thought it out, and so we're gonna trade that one with you in just a little bit. So you stay right where you are. We'll be right back here on East West Audio Body Shop.
Hey, my name is Bob Ball. I'm a voice actor and host. Hey, my name is Bob Ball. I'm a voice actor and host of Pop Quizzical. Sure. I hear you thinking, Bob, what is this Pop Quizzical you speak of? Well, I'll tell you. It's a fun and funny, single-themed 10 to 15-minute audio quiz. It comes out every other week right here on the internets. You know, that thing that just about everything cool flows from. Pictures of cats, videos of dogs, and yes, Pop Quizzical. It's available on iTunes and wherever fine podcasts are sold. And it's easily found, too. Go to bit.ly/popquizzical. There's also a companion website at popquizzical.com with daily quiz questions, and every Friday over on the Pop Quizzical Facebook page, it's a Freebie Friday. Free stuff throughout the day. From The Muppet Show to James Bond to St. Patrick's Day, the Pop Quizzical podcast has a little bit of everything for you. Challenge your mind and your funny bone with Pop Quizzical.
Class dismissed.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Two guys I love spending Sunday nights with.
All right.
Always.
Yeah. All right. We're always glad to spend Sunday night with her, too. And we're always glad to spend Sunday night with all of you guys. We are amazed week after 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 week. Almost to 50 to get you guys here every week and hear what we have to say and listen to the guests we have on, and we appreciate it. We're glad that you're here, and of course we could use your help a little bit too. You can always. It's not free to put this show together, and we could appreciate some help. But one of the best ways you can do it is to help yourself out, and that is to go to the EWABS shop. The East West Audio Body Shop. What's the address for that once again?
Shop.ewabs.com.
Shop.ewabs.com. Get yourself an EWABS T-shirt or a coffee mug. Probably the most popular item in America today is an EWABS mug, right. or a mouse pad, or all sorts of different stuff with our logo on it. And go on over there, and anytime you make a purchase there, that helps us out. So go on over there. Also, we had Harlan on last week, and Harlan Hogan, and he was showing us the new Porta booth, which is actually, the more you work with it and the more you really play around with it, you realize what a great apparatus this thing is.
Yeah.
But if you go over to voiceoveressentials.com, he's got a great little tool that we were looking at this week. It's called the ABS Adjustable Boom Stop. Now, you look at it for the, it comes in this box here. It's like, what on earth is a boom stop? Well, what it is if you've got, a boom microphone. Now I've got a very heavy, microphone set up here with my Reflexion filter, which weighs about 4 or 5 pounds, and a TLM 103. I don't want this thing falling to the floor.
Yeah.
And it's on a T. So what you do is you have this adjustable boom strap.
Hold it real still. There you go.
Very hard for me.
Good job.
But you can see that what it does is it will. I'm looking at it in reverse here. It connects to the top part of the boom, and then you can go down to the bottom here, and it hooks onto the tripod or the legs of your boom. And what it does is it holds the boom in place so it doesn't fall forward. And it's adjustable. It's got Velcro on it and ties, and it actually will help support it in a position that I actually have it now working for me now, and it works fabulous.
Yeah.
So if you've had trouble with, if you look at the boom here, so I can talk to the back of my microphone, you can still hear me. if you look at the boom here, you've got this little thing here where if
the clutch, I think they call it.
It's got a couple of rubber grommets in there. If that doesn't hold, you got something real heavy on there, your mic's going down and you've got a dent in your TLM 103. Not something you want. So Harlan has this thing, the ABS adjustable boom stop, and we highly recommend, if you've got a big boom like that, instead of getting a big boom with it, get the boom stop.
Exactly. Show them the picture of the dented mic on the front.
Oh yeah, let's get a close-up look at that. Ooh, you do not want that.
Exactly.
That's not the cardioid pattern you want.
The problem is the stands of yesteryear, they had a big, heavy counterweight on the back. So they balanced the mic, but now it's too expensive to ship everything from China, where everything made of steel is made now almost. And so they don't put a weight on there anymore. So there's no counterbalance anymore. So this takes the place of it, and it only weighs like a couple ounces. It's made out of, strapping.
And
it's
magnificent.
Very cool. I love his entrepreneurial spirit, and he's really comes up with actual useful things that really solve problems. And thank you for helping us with the show, Harlan.
Yep. Go over to voiceoveressentials.com. You could have one too.
Mm-hmm.
Not expensive there either.
I'm looking online to see if he's got that on the store yet. I think it's so new that it's not even on his website. So stay tuned for that. Keep looking back on the site and see if you see it pop up, because it is not there yet.
Okay. Well, I'm sure he can get it for you if you ask him for it.
Yeah. It's not vaporware. These things really do exist.
They really do exist. I know, because I'm actually using it, and it's now saving my microphone. So anyway, so we had a fascinating question this week. Now, this is something that I do every day, and that is, I do a tremendous amount of e-learning and long format stuff, and they say, okay, you've got to be able to divide this up into so many slides. All right, everybody raise your hand. How many times have you had to do that one? Okay. We got a letter this week from somebody. They had to do 10,000 individual slides.
Exactly.
How do you go about doing that?
That's heavy duty, man.
That's a lot of work. So the only way you could legitimately do it and do it profitably, because time-wise, that would be, figure it takes 10 to 15 seconds to go just between each one. Just do the math. It's not going to be profitable for you, especially if they're not paying you very much. This is something that has to be automated. And we looked at a couple of solutions. So we knew that Twisted Wave will divvy up files if you put in
markers.
Markers between each individual file. You just have to put 2 seconds between each, put a marker in the middle, label the marker, and then hit split by markers, and it makes all the files for you, names them for you. It's a great little feature. I don't know what does it in any PC things. Of course, you can now get Twisted Wave online, so which is a great little feature. But how do you do it with 10,000 different files? So what did we come up with? Now you found this thing. What was the name of that program?
Well, yeah, it was sort of a hybrid of a couple solutions. Yeah, it was sort of a combination of Twisted Wave and this other little app, which I think is completely free. And once again, I apologize because this is all Mac stuff, because that's what we use. But I absolutely guarantee there's always a PC version of something. But in this particular case, it's called Name Changer.
Name Changer. That's right.
So if you do a search for Name Changer, one word, it's from a company called MRR Software, and I'll put a link to it. I found it, and I will put a link to it in the chat room for you guys that are watching live. And it will let you take whatever the name of the file is and change it to another. Well, that sounds simple enough, but you can drop in a huge list of files and tell it to append, prepend, replace completely. You can come up with a numbering sequence. Yeah, and sequentially numbers the files, and then say, I want them to go into this folder. And so you just click, and boom, it renames hundreds and hundreds of files. I discovered it from my wife, who was doing photography work, and she had to rename, sometimes thousands of files for the client. They didn't like that the file said DSC _ zeros. They wanted to say the name of they wanted to say Bacardi, whatever, 011. So we found this app, and it is fantastic. It really does work really, really well. So use that in conjunction with something like Twisted Wave. I was playing with Twisted Wave, and I tried the Detect Silences feature. And when I used Detect Silences and got that set up just right to find the spaces between each word, let's say cow, fish, monkey, cheese, umbrella, whatever.
Not exactly in alphabetical order, but
yeah. And then find the spaces using Detect Silence. Then you tell it to delete the space and make a marker. What it would do is remove the spaces and put an individual marker between every single piece of audio. And when I tried that seemed to work pretty well. You'd have to experiment with how much space you need to leave between the words and all that. But and then you save that as a WAV file, and now you got this file with thousands of markers in it, or hundreds. Then you bring it back in and for the batch process mode, and then the batch process tool would spit out individual files based on the markers, and it would even do naming for you too. So I just discovered that since Dan and I started talking about it, and it seemed to work pretty well. So it's fun to experiment with these things. It's amazing what this little program can do right out of the box.
Yeah, I mean, if you can automate a process like this, that is money in your pocket, because it just cuts so much time out of it. Just thinking, all right, detect the silences, and is there a way to copy and paste the same mark through 10,000 files?
Right.
Boy, that big file.
No kidding.
Whoa, 10,000 words.
I would do it in sections. I would have 100. Like 100 files per. Like I would do it to there be 100 words per file, or maybe 500 words. Break it into chunks. Right. So if a file gets corrupted or you lose something, you're losing only a portion of the job. Don't do it in one huge file.
No.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, 500 words. You can do 500 words in 3-4 minutes. I mean, you could probably do 1,000 words or something along those lines. Right. Anyway, I had to show this off this week, so that's the solution for that. You remember we keep talking about Franken-Mike here. Well, he keeps evolving somehow. Now he's grown some hair, and he's got
some mean eyebrows.
He really does. But that
is hilarious.
But it works, and it sounds fabulous. So who cares?
It works, man. It really does. Picks of the week. I've got. Let's see. I didn't get a pick and audio sample combo this week. I got an audio sample, but I don't want to share an audio sample without the picture. To me, the two really have to go together because.
Yeah, let's just show the picture this week and.
Okay, where is that picture? Picture. Where did you go? Why did I lose it?
I have no idea. It's the eclipse. It's just totally fried your brain.
It is the eclipse. Here we go. This one came in a long time ago, but this one's from Matt Weewell. He's a client of mine. We haven't shared this one before. It's the inside of his booth showing his iPad mount. I don't think we have. Let me bring this up here.
Yeah.
This one's really cool. So there's an iPad mount you can buy that's, to be screwed on to, I don't know what. I think it's actually designed for a car. But so he modified his iPad mount to hang inside his booth because his booth is made out of pretty much 100% acoustical panels hung off of a PVC pipe frame. So if I drag this into the shot, like so, and yes, it's not working. Okay, let's try. Oh, show prep. I got to learn about this thing called show prep. I hear it helps the show.
Oh, you've been doing great.
All right, here, view image. Okay, open it with preview. That'll work.
Thank you
all. There we go. Drag that over. Shrink it down a little bit, and there you have it.
There you go.
He had a piece of metal bar or some sort of metal plate just bent an angle on the top and mounted this iPad mount to it. And he's hanging that off the wall of his booth. So the iPad is, instead of sticking on a stand, which can be a little bit in the way and not, sometimes not nearly high enough. And I know Matt's pretty tall. He was able to get his iPad up really high. And so let me show you another shot that's a picture of it without the iPad in it so you can see what it's called. It's actually called the Pro Clip.
Yep.
And here it is, the Pro Clip. So if you're looking for it and you want to duplicate what Matt did, check out the Pro Clip. There's so many of these out now. There's some that amount to mic stands and all kinds of things. But the way he rigged this thing up is it gets it up really nice and high, and it's adjustable in height because you can see he's got a lot of holes there.
Yep.
And so there you go. Pick of the week from Matt Wewell. There's the Pro Clip iPad mount. Hung off of his PVC frame booth. Well done.
Yeah. Somebody asked, is there a reflection from the iPad? It really isn't that bad at all. You should have no problem. But here's an even easier way. Yeah, this is an even easier way. Duct tape. It works fabulous. It'll hold anything, anywhere.
You don't want to get duct tape, sticky adhesive all over your $500 iPad, do you?
Well, no. You just put it over. You put it over the leather cover.
Oh, okay.
Then you're okay.
That's what we used to hang that iPad case up during our FAFCON show.
Yeah, that's right. It was this one here.
Fluorescent. Yeah, fluorescent duct tape.
Fluorescent pink.
That was funny. We thought that was hilarious. I don't think anybody else caught the cheesiness or just what was.
I think some people did. A lot of people were commenting on that. Well, anyway, that's going to do it for us for this week.
Yes.
If you haven't had enough already. But next week, you do not want to miss next week because we have an actual legend joining us. Somebody who we all grew up with. A person whose voice just. It goes across the universe of everything that we laughed at on Saturday morning. She was the voice of, Witch Hazel, which is one of my all-time favorite Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the voice of Nell in Totally Do Right. And she was, what some of the other ones that she did? Oh, she was Natasha, and she was Rocky the Squirrel.
And she was Granny on. Was it Tweety Bird? It was
that's right.
Which cartoon had Granny in it?
That was Sylvester and Tweety.
Right. She was Granny.
Suffer and fuck it, Dad.
So anyway, she's not only is she going to be on the show, but she's going to be sitting
in your
right here. Right here. I can't believe it.
That's going to be something. June Foray will be with us next week. Yeah. She's had an amazing career. She worked with the greats. She worked with Mel Blanc. I mean, she probably worked with Mel Blanc more than anybody else did.
She was a contemporary of all those amazing voice actors doing cartoons.
With Jay Ward Productions and William Conrad and back when there was 3 stations you could watch on Saturday morning. And now it's like 500 channels, nothing to watch.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic. She's going to be here. She's still sharp as a whip, and she's in her 90s. Wow. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you tune in live because as always, we'll have you guys post questions in the chat room, and we're going to let her go as long as she wants. So come get some popcorn, make yourself comfortable. It could be a long show, but it's going to be a doozy.
All righty. Well, I take it the sun is actually totally gone where you are now.
Yeah. The eclipse is over and the sun is actually setting. So,
all righty.
It was good.
Well, as the sun slowly sets into the west, I'm Dan Leonard in the east,
and I'm George Woodham in the west,
and together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. Hope we answered your questions this week, and we'll be back next Sunday. Have a great week. Stay cool, and we'll see you next Sunday. 9 p.m. in the east.
And 6 p.m. in the west.
Have a great one. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.